What's up, peeps? It's me. I'm back. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody is staying safe. I hope everybody is being smart. And I hope everybody is taking the time to learn themselves and know who you really are as an individual and as spiritual being. Okay? So tonight I want to talk a little bit with you about fear. And the reason why I want to talk about fear is because last night I watched a video with Dr. Phil Valentine, and he was sitting there and he was talking to Brother Rich, Black Magic, I think it's 363, and they were having this conversation. And during the show, Brother Rich allowed people to call in and ask the elder, Dr. Phil Valentine, and many of you know Dr. Phil Valentine, and a lot of you learned about Dr. Phil Valentine from Tariq's Hidden Colors series, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think Dr. Valentine and Dr. Kaba, I think both of them, and Dr. Smalls, I think they have all been in each one, in each of his Hidden Colors documentaries. And on this show last night, Brother Rich was allowing people to call up and ask Dr. Valentine certain questions. And a question came up about aliens and alien invasions and all of this stuff, where we're seeing more and more and more all of this evidence of all of this activity and all of these UFO spottings and all of this kind of stuff. And it brought me to this mind frame of fear, right? And so that's what I want to talk about a little bit tonight. I want to talk about fear. Now, before we do anything, let's lay some foundation. And according to the dictionary, this is just a general definition of fear: an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or is a threat. Right? That's the basic definition of fear. Over here, as far as some of the mental illness stuff and talking about anxiety disorders and all of that, they give an overview saying that it's an unpleasant feeling triggered by the perception of danger, real or imagined. So this danger that you perceive can be real or it can be imagined, right? And how I want to talk about fear is I want to talk about how fear has been used to control us, to control the masses, not just melanated people, but everybody really. But I want to get, and in this conversation, I might specifically go back to how certain psychological tactics have been used to keep us in line using fear. Us, when I say us, I mean black folks, melanated people, however you want to call it. But in general, fear is one of the main tactics that is used to control the masses, right? This unpleasant emotion, this unpleasant feeling that is caused by this belief that someone or something is dangerous to you, that they can cause you harm, they can cause you hurt, they are a threat to you, they can kill you, whatever, right? And then over here is the acronym for fear. And the acronym for fear is F.E.A.R, false evidence appearing real. That's the acronym for fear, right? And with that whole conversation that they were having about the alien invasion and all this kind of stuff, it brought back to mind some of the things that I have seen with my own eyes, and some of the things that I have heard about that have happened in the past, where fear was used to dominate, where fear was used to control, where fear was used to control the masses. I think about how specifically for African Americans, for foundational black Americans, how on the plantations they would buck break or break the strongest male slave that was brought in, or the strongest male enslaved that was brought in They would buck break him in front of the whole plantation, sometime in front of not just one plantations, but several plantations or whatever. They would buck break him. They would be cruel. Sometimes assault was sexual assault was involved. All of these different ways that they would break this strong, big man in front of everybody as a way to cause fear in the other enslaved people so that they would understand. If you get out of line, you understand what I'm saying? If you think that you're more than you should, if you try to do anything that you shouldn't do or whatever, hanging was a part of that. Beatings were a part of that, where a lot of these things that happened on the plantation, everybody had to come out to see it. Everybody had to come out to see it because it would enlist fear in the other enslaved, so that they would know, you can't step out your place, you can't do this, you can't do that, because if you do, there's the threat of you being beaten, there's the threat of you being killed, there's the threat of so many things, there's the threat of your family being broken apart if you have children, that whole 9 yards. So it was that fear tactic, it was that fear that was used to intimidate a lot of us and control us, right? Because you have to understand that most of the time on the plantation, the enslaved outnumbered the master's family or whatever. Because in most cases, the overseers, the white overseers and all that, they didn't live on the plantation. They lived elsewhere and they came to work every day. So in most cases, the enslaved outnumbered the Europeans on these plantations. Just like right now in the world, right? Melanated people with some amount of melanin in them outnumber the Europeans. But yet it is the Europeans that are still in control. It is the minority that is controlling. And how are they doing that? In a lot of cases, they're doing it through fear. A fear of first of all, you got the military. And you got state sanctioned beatings and state sanctioned murders and all of this kind of stuff that are going on. So that's to elicit fear, to keep you under control. If you step out of line, if you step out of control, if you step out of place, if you do this, that, and the other, you understand what I'm saying? The military gonna come and get you, or the police gonna come and get you and kill you, or whatever the case that may be. That's a form of control. Then you've got all of these different diseases and things that pop up every once in a while. You understand what I'm saying? And you got to run and get this pill, and you got to run and get that jab, and you got to run and do this, and you got to run and do that, and all of that, because you can't go outside. You got to wear a mask. You can't talk to each other. You got to stay X number of feet away from each other. You can't be around your loved ones and all of that. That's fear used to control us. All of these quote unquote terror attacks, and every time you turn around, the terrorists are coming, and the terrorists are coming to attack this, and they coming to attack that, and all of that. So whatever the government tells you need to do, that's what you got to do. 9/11, the Patriot Act. That's all I'm saying on that. 9/11, the Patriot Act. So you've got all of these events and all of these things that are going on, and they constantly telling you about, look over here, is something over here to fear, and look over there, something over there to fear, or this big bad boogeyman gonna come and get you, or this big bad disease is gonna come and kill you, or whatever. Always a distraction, and these distractions usually are meant to cause fear, right? Sometimes the threat is real. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that in each case the threat is not real. Sometimes the threat is actually real. But more than likely, if it's a threat to your immediate surroundings or your immediate body or your immediate family or whatever, your own body, your own internal system will let you know that there's something that you need to be wary of, that you might be in danger, that you need to be careful or whatever. You have your intuition, And that tuition is that thing that sits right there in your gut. You know what I'm saying? If somebody has invited you to a party, or if somebody has invited you somewhere or whatever, and your gut, you just can't, it just don't sit right with you. You just don't feel comfortable about it. It's just something about it that just ain't right. You understand what I'm saying? And every time you say, yeah, I'm gonna go or whatever, you get this funny feeling in your stomach or whatever. That's your gut. That's your instinct. That's your natural instinct trying to tell you, you don't need to go there. You don't need to do this, right? There's that one about the hair raising up on the back of your head or on the back of your neck when something just ain't right, when something just don't sit right with your vibes, the vibration is wrong, the energy is wrong, or whatever. You get that sensation of the hair raising up on the back of your neck, or you get the goosebumps or whatever. That's your internal system telling you ahead of time before you actually see the real threat. That's your internal system telling you ahead of time, something ain't right here. You understand what I'm saying? Something ain't right. You need to back up. You need to back off. You need to go in the other direction, or whatever the case may be. So I'm not saying that some of these threats aren't real, but what I'm saying is we have to be very, very careful. And we have to start getting to that place where we start using our discernment, and where we start getting in tune with our inner selves so that we can hear our gut. When that gut instinct kicks in, and that gut instinct starts telling you something, or that small voice in your head starts telling you, I don't know about that. Maybe you need to check that out. I don't think I would do that if I was you. But you won't know those things until you start getting in tune with yourself. Until you start pushing aside all the distractions, everything that they putting out on the news. That's the reason why there's never anything positive in the news. There's never anything uplifting in the news. Everything in the news is meant to make you fear this, fear that, fear that you're going to lose all your money, fear that they're going to come take your house, fear that the aliens are going to come invade us. And it's always something. But in order to get in tune with yourself so that your own internal system can let you know when there's a real threat, when there's something that you really need to be concerned about, you got to put aside all the distractions. You got to put aside all the stuff that you're hearing from the media. Sometimes you have to put aside some of the things that you're hearing from different people on social media and YouTube and all of that. You understand? Because it'll have you, honestly, it'll have you looking for a boogeyman everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. You'll be so paranoid that you'll be looking for the boogeyman, and you'll be looking for threats everywhere you go. And because you're in this state of constant paranoia, your internal system is now all clogged up, all blogged up, all off track. You understand what I'm saying? All out of sync, and it can't tell you what you need to calm down. That's not really anything for you to be worried about. Or yeah, you need to. It can't warn you when you need to be warned. Why? Because now you're in a state of paranoia. So that's the reason why we've got to back up from all of this stuff that we're listening to, all of these people that are coming with this information and that information to distract us from what's really going on. Because 9 times out of 10, if mainstream media is sticking to something and they're trying to push it and they're trying to push fear out there with it or whatever, 9 times out of 10, they're trying to distract you from something else going on over here that might really hurt you, that might really harm you. So we've got to get past all the distractions with the celebrities and the famous people and all of that. We got to get past all of those distractions. We've got to get past all of this stuff that comes out to distract us or to put us in a place of fear, because we're seeing this false evidence that appears to be real. And we need to understand that they're just fear tactics. All of this is just a psyop. Psychological operations to keep our minds busy all the time, to keep our minds trying to figure out how we're going to get out of this and how we're going to get out of that all the time, to keep our minds in a constant state of overflow, We never get somewhere where we're just quiet, where we just settle down. You understand? We go to a quiet place, a place where we're all alone, where we've cut off TVs, we've cut off radio, we cut off phones, we cut off social media, we cut off everything, and we just breathe, and we just allow our minds to be still. A lot of us can't sleep at night because at the time when the brain should be trying to shut down, because we're so full of all of this stream of information that we have taken in from everywhere and from every source, our minds can't rest enough for us to get some sleep. And if we go to sleep, it's fitful sleep. You wake up, you're not any more rested than you were when you laid down. If anything, you're more tired. Now your brain is tired. They want you to fear going outside. They want you to fear breathe. You can't go outside and get no sun. You can't get re-energized with the sun. You can't walk around barefoot. You understand what I'm saying? And get your body recharged and your cells and your system recharged. It's always something. But this goes back to what we talked about at first. Choices. We have a choice. We can shut off all of this stuff. We can shut off all of this information that's meant to put us in a place of fear, because this is what you have to understand. There are only two reactions to fear. And like they said, whether this danger is real or imagined, the person feeling it at that moment, they think it's real. They feel like it's real, right? And there are only two reactions to fear. One is that fear will paralyze you. You're paralyzed with fear. You can't move. You can't take a step. You can't make a move. You can't think a rational thought so that you can make the right move. Why? Because you're overcome with fear. Your adrenaline is pumping. Your heart is beating. What feels like 100 miles a second. You understand? But you still can't move. You can't get your legs to function. You can't get your arms to function. You can't get your brain to function. Nothing is functioning. Why? Because you're in a state of absolute and total fear. That's one reaction. The second reaction is, because of this fear, well, like I said, because of this threat, whether it's real or imagined, because of it, you understand what I'm saying? And because you got this adrenaline pumping and this adrenaline going and all of that, now you're in this state of you can't be still. You feel like you got to do something. You feel like you got to make a move. You feel like, and none of this is coming from any place of being rational. None of it is coming from any place of having studied or researched the situation or anything. It's just that you're so afraid that whatever it is that you feel is a threat is going to get you, that you got to make a move. You got to make a move. And 9 times out of 10, when you make a move in fear, you make the wrong move. When you take a step out of fear, you take a step in the wrong direction. So those are the only two reactions you can have to fear. You either do absolutely nothing, or you do something and it's the wrong thing. You know, and that's why we have these people in high places, these higher powers and these folks in high places that will tell us, you know, they'll agitate these situations and they'll promote these situations and they'll get everybody all stirred up in fear and everybody running around don't know what to do and all of that. And then they'll tell you, well, calm down, settle down. We got it. We'll handle it. Just put your trust in us. Just put your faith in us. We'll handle it. We know what to do. You might not know what to do, but we know what to do. And yes, there's something that you should be afraid of. You most definitely should be afraid. But don't worry about trying to fix it. Don't worry about trying to handle it. Don't worry about trying to figure it out or nothing like that. We got it. We'll take care of it for you. And because that gives you a certain amount of assurance and a certain feeling of safety in the midst of all of this fear, that's what you do. You sit back, you do absolutely nothing, and you let them handle it for you. And they just controlled you. They just took all your power away from you. They just took all of your power away from you to find out if there was even anything to really fear. Think about something. Think about the kids in school, right? And maybe not so much when I was in school, because I was in school years and years and years ago, but especially over the last maybe 15, 20 years, the kids in school that some of the stuff that's being taught to them just don't sit well. Or because they're being taught by their families or their parents or their grandparents or whatever about certain things in history and all of that. When they hear the teacher teaching it wrong, they actually, stand up and let it be known. But no, that's not the way it really happened or whatever. You understand? Those kids that always have a question, they, like I said, they know the real story. They know how the real history went down because they're being taught, and they challenge the teachers and all of that. Notice those kinds of kids are often punished in school. They are often punished in school, and they're punished in front of everybody. You understand what I'm saying? Now, whether the actual punishment goes down in front of everybody or not remains to be seen. But everybody knows that this kid was punished, and they know the reason why. This kid and their class that's being disruptors. You know what I'm saying? They disrupt the class. You understand? They're put in the class of being bad kids and being troublemakers and all of that. Well, the reason why is because those kids don't have any fear. They weren't raised to be afraid. They weren't raised to be afraid of the teachers. They weren't raised to be afraid of the establishment. They weren't raised to be afraid to speak the truth. They weren't raised to be afraid to speak what they know. They weren't raised to be afraid to challenge what they hear. And because of that, they are often, like I said, categorized as troublemakers, categorized as class disruptors. A lot of times, like I said, they're punished. They're suspended from school. In certain cases, they've been put out of school altogether. And that's because they don't just go along with, okay, well, I'm scared, and because I'm scared, and because you say this thing is going to kill me, or you say this thing is going to hurt me, or you say this thing is going to get me, and I don't necessarily know what to do about it, I'm just going to sit back, and now that you have said I'll handle it, I'm just going to sit back and let you handle it. So people who don't just sit back and let these folks handle things, and people that want to know what's really going on, people want to know whether or not it's true, people want to do their own research, they want to find out for themselves whether or not this phenomenon is real or that phenomenon is real, or whether or not this is really something that I should be afraid of, or whatever the case may be. Those people are always the people that are classed as troublemakers. Those are the people that get banned from social media platforms. Those are the people that end up having mysterious accidents, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff happens to those people who don't just sit back and allow fear to control them, or allow other people to control them through fear, right? And you have to understand that it starts young as children, that we are programmed into fear. And the main one, the key one, is most kids, by the time they're 2 or 3 years old, they are terrified of the dark. Why? Because they've been told that the boogeyman is in the dark. You understand what I'm saying? The evil is in the dark. The monsters are in the dark. So they are taught that the dark is a bad place, and that you should never go in the dark. You should never go into unknown places, because what's in the dark is unknown. So you should never go into unknown places and all that, because something bad might happen to you. And don't get me wrong, again, yes, a lot of bad things happen in dark places, but it's not because the darkness is wicked or evil or bad. It's because wicked, evil people choose to do wicked, evil things under the cover of darkness. So it's not the dark that's bad. It's what these folks are doing in the dark that's bad. Because you have to understand, we come from, every human being that is born on this planet, we come from the darkness. The mother's womb is dark, it's warm, it's tight, and it's filled with fluid, with liquid. That's the reason why when babies are born, most babies scream, let out that scream when they first come into the out of their mother's wombs is because of the harshness of the light. You understand what I'm saying? You have just been taken out of this warm, comfortable, dark place and brought into all of this harsh light with all of these loud voices. You understand what I'm saying? The air is different. You have been taken out of this water and now you're in this dry place. So it takes a lot of getting used to. So that's the reason why most babies scream when they're born. So out of the darkness of the womb comes the beauty of life. For those of you who know the scriptures, out of darkness everything appeared. Now, I'm not gonna make this too long, but let me get this right quick. Okay, this is Genesis 1, King James Version. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void. So the word void automatically makes you think of something that's empty and dark. It's void of color, it's void of life, it's void of everything. It's empty and it's colorless, it's dark, right? And darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. So light was created out of this darkness. Everything that was created out of this darkness. But that's one of the first things that children learn to be afraid of. And they have to learn it. It's a learned behavior because they don't come here afraid of anything. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a learned behavior. But that's the first thing that children are taught, or that children learn to be afraid of, is the dark. Hold on a minute, y'all. Let me turn this ringer down. That's the first thing that they're taught. Just be afraid of the dark. Be scared of the dark, right? So, and then from that point on, as they grow up, they're taught through this programming, through TV and media and family and friends and school and all of this, that just about everything is meant to be afraid of. But they don't come here with that sense of fear. So we are programmed into this fear. And the only way we can stop it is we have to separate ourselves from all of these sources, all of these things that are bringing all of these distractions and bringing all of this fear into our lives. We have to separate ourselves from those things, close ourselves off from those things, right? Get in tune with ourselves, so that once again our internal system will let us know perfectly well when there's something to really be concerned about. And that internal system won't just let you know that there's something for you to be concerned about. That internal system will actually guide you and tell you how to get yourself out of that particular situation, so that you don't find yourself either paralyzed with fear and can't move, or moving in the wrong direction because you're so afraid. So understand that that's what fear is. Fear is, especially when we think about fear in the terms of the programming that we've received, when we think about fear in the terms of like they did with the election. Oh, everybody they just had us well, not us, but they just had so many people afraid of the T-rump. The T-rump, y'all know who I'm talking about. Just afraid of the T-rump, so you go vote in somebody that has proven, whose very actions have hurt you. You vote that person in because you're afraid of this other person who's never done anything to really hurt you. who's never set forth any policies, anything, any laws, anything like that to really hurt you. So that's that fear mongering. And you allow people to take your control away from you through fear. And they tell you, well, don't worry about it. We got the solution over here. We got the solution over here. You ain't got to do nothing. We'll take care of it. And they take care of it all right. So that's just what I wanted to talk to y'all. I just wanted to give you a little brief talk about fear, talk about distractions. Don't be distracted with all this stuff going on. Don't be distracted when they start telling these stories about we gonna have alien invasions and all of this kind of stuff. And you know, and you know, we need to do this, and we need to pass this law, and we need to pass that law, and all of that to protect us from the aliens and all of this. Okay, well, if you're not worried about the ones that are invading you on the earth, coming across your borders, if you're not worried about them, and they already here in your midst, they already have the ability to do you some harm, why are we gonna worry about the ones that we ain't seen yet? So just be careful. Just be very, very careful about what you're listening to, about the information that you're taking in. Don't be caught up in this psyop where they use all of this fear and all of these distractions to control us. And get in tune with who you really are on the inside, so that your internal operation, your internal voice, your internal system can make you full aware of the things that you should be concerned about and the things that you should not be concerned about. And stop letting folk take your control with fear. All right? So that's what I have for y'all today. Y'all, please be careful, be safe, love one another, take care of one another, but most importantly, learn yourself. Find out who you are. Take the necessary steps to go on the inside and deal with you first, and then you'll be more capable of handling what's going on the outside. All right? All right. Y'all have a good night.